Hello, welcome Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 26 Migration, let us start our lecture with topic explaining migration. Socialist demographers and geographers have focused their attention on the study of migration in order to understand the implications of a certain type of the movement of people from one place to the other. Migration results in multidimensional changes in the population composition, ethnic, ethno-lingual, religious, demographic, cultural, and economic. The structural context of migrants itself has bearing in migration and what it means to be a migrant. Most of the explanations on migration have dwelt heavily on demographic aspects and have tended to explain migration in terms of push and pull factors. Ashish Bose, for instance, explained migration in India from rural to urban from a demographic perspective. The push factor, which operates in places of the origin, in this case the rural area, is because of lack of resources, unemployment, overpopulation, drought or floods or such other natural calamities. Essentially all such factors which makes our decent living standards impossible. The pull factor of cities are mainly employment opportunities, entertainment, education facilities, trade centers, institutional setups, availability of opportunities, secular environment, etc. Ashish Bose argues that the push and pull factors should be interpreted in overall demographic context. Under conditions of high natural increase in population, not only in rural areas but in the urban areas as well. As a result of high urban births and rapidly declining death rates, the push factor operates. He calls it as a back factor. He showed that for every 100 persons who migrate to urban areas for better employment, 254 persons come in search of employment. Another type of urban push, which has been pointed out by Bose, is the absence of social security in urban areas. Most sociological studies on migration have analyzed the related aspect of migration and how migration affects the geographical spaces and how it brings about transformation in social structures. Studies in India have been largely around the issues of identity transformation for migrants. Most of these studies are concentrated on the Indian diaspora which moved across continents. As for internal migration, which has largely been rural to urban, the studies have dealt with issues that are the larger theoretical issues of whether there is continuity between social structure of rural India with urban India or whether there are changes. Thus, scholars such as David Peacock have argued that there is a dichotomy between urban and rural social structures. Reacting to this thesis, M.S.A. Rao argued that this is an oversimplification of the similarities between the village and the traditional city. The city in the past, he asserts, provided the ground for maximum caste activity, whereas Peacock was right in pointing out that urbanization is not coterminous with westernization. He, however, oversimplified the similarity between the village and the traditional city. Although religion, caste, and kinship are the basis of the such social organization in both villages and towns, There are significant differences in the working of these in the two contexts. For instance, while Jazmani mean heredity services relations were pronounced in village, the Mahajans or the guild organizations were prominent in cities. In the traditional urban context, the institutional framework and the constraints in which religion, caste, and kinship operated are not the same in villages. Most scholars look at migration and essentially as a male dominated phenomena, and so there have been very few studies which look at migration from a gender perspective. Meenakshi Thapan, in her recent book Transitional Migration and Politics of Identity, argues that any theory on migration for a holistic perspective must account for it in terms of race, religion, nationality, and on gender, which much of earlier literature on migration is silent. She asserts that structural ramifications of women's migration extend beyond the lives of migrant women themselves, insofar as the labor of such women is an important factor in shaping gender relations found in societies of both the immigrants and their hosts, thereby suggesting new ways of looking at issues such as gender equality, household division of labor, and at the state policies regarding welfare positions. There are some of the main approaches that we have discussed above, which discuss various aspects related to migration. In our next section, we will look at various types of migration. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.